What I did say to you in that interview was, if I talk, everybody going to jail.
You did.
I did.
You did.
I did.
But why hasn't anybody answered the other question, or the other statement of when you said there were mothers in the kitchen cooking? I will never forget that.
Because there were mothers in the kitchen cooking.
But there
were mothers in the kitchen cooking. I've never lied. There were mothers in the kitchen cooking.
In April 2026, K. Michelle sat down on the Jason Lee show and said 6 words that should have broken the internet. If I talk, everybody is going to jail. She's talking about R. Kelly, the man she just admitted for the first time ever that she was in love with, the man whose house she lived in, the man who isolated her from her family, controlled her, and then cut her off completely when she tried to leave. And she's sitting there telling Jason Lee that she knows things about the people around Kelly, about the mothers who were in the kitchen cooking, about the systems that allowed everything to happen, and that if she ever fully opens her mouth, it's not just Kelly who goes down. This interview dropped the same month she joined the cast of Real Housewives of Atlanta season 17, where, according to her, a castmate took that exact trauma, the R. Kelly history, what she survived before that, and used it as a weapon against her on camera. A woman who spent over a decade fighting to be believed about what men did to her is now watching another woman throw it back in her face on national television. And somehow that's still not even the worst thing happening to K. Michelle right now, because while all of this is playing out, her body is literally falling apart from illegal silicone injections she got years ago, leaking, infected, requiring emergency surgery, and she's on camera saying the words that honestly broke me. I will never be fully healed. It will be forever in me. K. Michelle's story doesn't start where most people think it does. It doesn't start on love and hip-hop. It doesn't start with the reality TV drama or the Twitter beefs. It starts in 2009 when a girl from Memphis named Kimberly Michelle Pate signed a record deal with Jive Records, and the label looked at her songwriting raw, confessional, uncomfortably honest, and decided she was the female R. Kelly. That was the comparison, that was the marketing angle. And because of that comparison, they paired her directly with Kelly as a mentor. She was shaking when she met him. And the first thing R. Kelly said to her when he saw her was, "Are you an erotic dancer?" That's how it started.
And I walked in, and he looked at me. He had on a bubble coat. It was 100 degrees. This had on a bubble coat. And I walked in, and he said, "What, you a stripper or something?" So he said to me, "You a stripper or something?" I said, "No." And they said, "Oh," he was like, "Oh, okay, but she's still a stripper." No one in the world knew I was a stripper.
Were you a stripper?
Yeah.
Kelly became her mentor. He taught her the business side of music, songwriting, recording technique, and for the first time in the Jason Lee interview, she admitted the relationship became romantic.
Were you and R. Kelly ever intimate?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love him.
Really? Have you ever said that?
No, but I think people know from the songs.
Art doesn't always imitate
I
life.
loved Robert Kelly. I loved him. And everyone knew that. I loved...
Like loved in love? Mm-hmm. Really?
I loved him because I felt like I could write songs. I could write a song. But he was the only one to say to me, "You got 3 minutes and 30 seconds to make a movie." Every word counts.
She said she was in love with him. She'd hinted at it for years. Her 2014 song, Build a Man, has a lyric that goes, "There was Kells, he adored me, loved to hear me sing, but control me." But she'd never confirmed it outright until now. And the picture she paints of living in his house is suffocating. She described feeling trapped, saying that if she left that house, she believed she'd never sing again. She didn't see her family. She didn't see anybody but R. Kelly. And when she eventually did leave, he erased her. Wouldn't work with her, wouldn't speak to her, told her nobody was going to want her except Prince or Michael Jackson, which, by the way, she fired back at beautifully. She told him he walks around with a book and can't read, so anything is possible. But underneath that fire, you can hear the pain when she talks about losing her mentor. She said she lost her friend, and that a lot of her career and the things she went through all trace back, at the core, to a man. And I need to be clear about something because K. Michelle has been very specific about this. She has not accused R. Kelly of putting his hands on her. She said on Jason Lee's show that Rob didn't hit her and she didn't go through that with Rob. But the emotional control, the isolation, The way her entire career trajectory was shaped by his influence and then destroyed by his rejection, that's its own kind of damage. And the fact that she's drawing a distinction between what happened to her and what happened to Kelly's other victims actually makes her more credible, not less, because she's not inflating her story to match the headlines. She's telling her specific truth. And her specific truth includes knowing things she still hasn't said publicly, which is why that everybody is going to jail line carries so much weight. She's not just talking about Kelly. She's talking about the infrastructure, the managers, the parents, the enablers. She called out Sparkle by name and asked whether she should go to prison. She asked about the mothers who were present. She's pointing at a system, not just one man. Now, before R. Kelly ever entered the picture, K. Michelle was placed under the Hits Committee imprint at Jive Records, run by a music executive named Mickey Memphis Wright Jr. They started a romantic relationship while she was his artist. And this is the story that both made her famous and nearly destroyed her. K. Michelle alleges that Memphis put his hands on her, smothered her with a pillow, dragged her across a room, leaving carpet burns, scars, and bruises. She also alleges he blew her entire $2 million recording budget on jewelry and personal items for himself. And then, from what she said, he took her money and used it to court Toya Wright, Lil Wayne's ex-wife, whom he eventually married while still involved with K. Michelle. In 2012, K. Michelle went on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta Season 1 and told this story on national television. She didn't name Memphis directly. She referred to a man and an executive, but the internet figured it out immediately. And what happened next is something I think people need to sit with, because it says everything about how this industry treats women who speak up. Toya Wright, who was married to Memphis at the time, went on social media and called K. Michelle a hater. And then Rashida, her own castmate, a woman sitting in the same room with her, called K. Michelle a liar to her face on camera. K. Michelle broke down crying, trying to tell her story. And Rashida chose the man's side because she was friends with Memphis.
Rashida, he did that to me. I had scars all on my leg, carpet burns from fighting. How would you feel if a towel was over your face? Smothered. He needs to apologize. I have every text message when you tried to say. So if I was an evil chick, I would send that to a blog right now. I ain't done it. But if you keep on, I am. So you need to take your ass on down the street because you wasn't there. 3 years. My career was ruined because I could not talk.
The blog comments dragged her. The public called her a liar. And K. Michelle has said she's still living that down, that she was fighting to tell her story and they beat her up about it. Memphis's response was to sue. He filed a defamation lawsuit against VH1, Mona Scott Young, and K. Michelle, asking for $15 million in compensatory damages and $50 million in punitive damages. $65 million total to silence a woman who said he did what he did to her. And K. Michelle's response was simple. She said the truth shall set you free, and she stood behind her story 100%. And she was right, because Memphis lost. He lost the lawsuit. He appealed. He lost the appeal in November 2016. And during the depositions, Memphis himself admitted to having a physical altercation with K. Michelle. The judge was reportedly displeased with how long it took him to even specify what he claimed was defamatory. So the man who sued for $65 million ended up admitting in his own deposition that something physical happened. And Rashida, the woman who called K. Michelle a liar on camera, she has never apologized. Not once. In July 2023, a fan asked on Twitter if Rashida ever apologized. The tweet got 4.1 million views. K. Michelle's response was 2 words: F her. And the irony writes itself because Rashida has since gone through her own husband, Kirk Frost, cheating on her and fathering a whole child with another woman during their marriage. The same woman who couldn't extend grace to K. Michelle when she was telling the truth about a man had to sit in that same truth about her own man years later. Now, while all of this was happening, what Memphis put her through, the lawsuits, the public dragging K. Michelle, was also quietly dealing with something that would eventually almost kill her. Early in her career, she got illegal silicone injections. Not a BBL from a licensed surgeon, black market hydrogel injections in her hips and butt from someone who wasn't a doctor. She said she made the decision after finding out her favorite rapper had done the same procedure. She was happy with the results for about 5 years, which is the cruel part, because those 5 years coincided with her rise to fame. She looked the way the industry wanted her to look at exactly the time when it mattered most for her career, and then in 2017, her body started turning on her. It started with migraines, fatigue, severe pain in her back and legs. Doctors initially suspected lupus. What they found was worse. The silicone had migrated down her legs, destroying tissue as it moved. In January 2018, she had her first surgery to remove it. Then her body started shutting down while she was on tour. The silicone had spread further than anyone realized. She was rushed into a second emergency surgery 6 hours long. She could barely use her legs going into it. She needed 2 blood transfusions because her blood count had dropped dangerously low. And here's what tells you everything about who this woman is. She performed through 26 cities on steroids just to be able to walk and manage infection. She got rushed to the ER more than 4 times during that tour and went back on stage the next night. As of now, she's had more than 13 surgeries and 4 blood transfusions total. And she's been told point blank that no matter how many surgeries she has, the silicone will never fully come out of her body.
This particular surgery was unexpected. The actual thing that has made me sick isn't the BBL. It's the injections that I got involving silicone. The hardest thing for me was learning that no matter what I do and how many surgeries, I will never get that silicone out of my body. It will be forever in me. I will never be fully healed.
And then RHOA Season 17 happened. On Episode 2, which aired April 12, 2026, K. Michelle was at the Academy of Country Music Honors in Nashville. This was supposed to be the biggest moment of her career. Transition into country music, performing a tribute to Black country music pioneer Rissy Palmer in front of every major country music executive in the room. And backstage, her silicone injections started leaking. She described standing in a bathroom while everyone around her was blow-drying her down, trying frantically to get her on stage. She went to the doctor afterward and was told she had an open wound from a previous surgery and an infection. She went into a 2-hour emergency reconstructive surgery to remove dead infected tissue. She broke down on camera saying she hates that she did this to herself, that she got her body done trying to get a butt she already had.
Hey, I did this to myself. That was the worst thing I ever did to myself.
I don't even want to say because of. It's because of something I did. I got my body done trying to get a butt that I already had. I got illegal silicone injections, trying to overdo it and overextend it or expand it.
That was really the worst thing I ever did to myself, and I paid for it.
That she started looking like an ant with the big butt and the little legs underneath, and then one morning her legs just gave out. And the line that wrecked me was when she said they had to literally cut tissue out of her body and she has holes in her. The biggest moment of her professional life, the country music pivot she'd been working toward, and it got derailed by a decision she made over a decade ago. That's the kind of consequence that doesn't care about how far you've come. And on top of all of this, she's beefing with Drew Sidora, which is the central conflict of Season 17. In Episode 1, Drew introduced her FaceTime boyfriend, Black Tatted, to the group. In Episode 2, K. Michelle casually dropped at lunch that this same guy had been sliding into her DMs too. She's calling Drew the Lion King on the show.
K. Michelle says, yes, Drew, spell check and all, you are almost there, little lady. But why would I get attention from you when you barely made the cut? I had to save you, right? Tell the people why you are just narrating. No worries. I got you every time, beauty.
But according to K. Michelle, the real issue isn't the boyfriend drama. It's that Drew took what she's been through and weaponized it on camera. K. Michelle told Jason Lee it was the lowest thing anyone has done to her.
Just to watch some of the most hurtful things to me that were done by men, and to watch a particular woman use that in combat to hurt me, pretty low. But it's TV, it's entertaining, right? But I'm gonna tell you one thing about entertainment. I'm a star, I'm gonna always win entertainment. I'm gonna entertain you and I'm gonna win. And I'm gonna vindicate. So play at your own risk.
That she watched a woman use what men did to her as ammunition in a reality TV argument. And when you think about the full scope of what K. Michelle has survived, what Memphis put her through, being called a liar for telling the truth, the $65 million lawsuit, R. Kelly's control and isolation, 13 surgeries, her body literally leaking and breaking down, and someone on a television show decides the most effective way to win a fight is to throw all of that back at her, that tells you exactly who that person is. And K. Michelle seems to know it too, because her message to Drew was clear. I'm a star, I'm always going to win entertainment, so play at your own risk. She also revealed on Jason Lee's show that she and her son aren't speaking right now. She bought him a Mercedes when he turned 16.
So I had bought him a Benz at 16. he gonna turn it back to me. Say he want a Hyundai. His daddy said you pushing it. But I done ran into a whole fence fight with him.
You crashed?
Yes.
Yeah, but if he wants a Hyundai, what's wrong with that?
Okay, so he
because he's
trying
being
to talk,
economical.
But he want to be this man so bad. So let me tell you, my child decides that he don't want a handout and he don't want anything. That's all I'm working for, Jason. He gonna say, he gonna Uber while he in college. He gonna Uber with a Benz in Memphis.
He decided he didn't want handouts and started driving Uber in the Benz she gave him. In Memphis, she confronted him about it. Things got physical, she admitted she hit him, and then she took the car and crashed it into a neighbor's fence. They're currently not on terms. And the way she talked about it, matter of fact, no self-pity. Just this is where we are right now. That's K. Michelle in a nutshell. She doesn't perform vulnerability the way the internet expects women to. She just tells you what happened and lets you deal with it. And I think that's what makes her story so hard for people to sit with. She's been telling the truth since 2012 about what was done to her, about the industry, about the cost of silence and the higher cost of speaking, and she has paid for every single word of it. The public called her a liar. Her castmate called her a liar. A man sued her for $65 million for telling the truth. She won, and nobody apologized. She survived R. Kelly's orbit and still hasn't told everything she knows. Her body is permanently damaged from a procedure she got because the industry told her she needed to look a certain way. And now she's on the biggest platform of her career, trying to pivot into country music, trying to be taken seriously in a new genre, and a woman on her own cast is pulling up her worst memories and using them for screen time. K. Michelle said it herself on that Jason Lee interview. At the core of everything she's been through, it was always a man. But the women around her weren't much better.